Good to see everybody. How's everybody doing out there? You guys never answer, but that was good. We got a real answer right there. Hey, how you doing? So excited to get to spring ball. Kids had a great winter. Thought our coaches and the kids put a lot of great effort in. We just got our test results back. Saw a lot of numbers really increase and improve on both sides of the ball. Today we're going to talk about the defense. You know, I think before we get started, you know, I'd like to just give you guys kind of a quick medical update with some of the kids. You know, I think we're all aware that John Raymond won't be able to practice, and you know, we're trying to bring him along. He's done a good job keeping his body weight down, almost too low at times, but he's healing, he's mending. Some other guys that'll be out will be Kennedy Kadoa. He's got a upper body injury, little shoulder deal. Darrell Eskridge, he had a couple injuries. We're going to take good care of him. He'll be able to do some limited things this spring, but we're not going to do any contact with him. Had a little finger and a little hip problem, but he's on the mend and doing a lot better. Luke Arcianega, lower body, same deal. Had a procedure done, doing a lot better, but we're going to hold him out this spring. And then we'll also continue to bring Ross Krautman along, you know, as far as kicking. And he's actually been doing some kicking, but we're going to keep him really on a limited basis this spring as well. Probably won't kick him in any team periods at all. So that's starting off with the injuries or the medical update with the defensive kids. And then as far as getting into spring ball, you know, really looking forward to taking the work that they put in this winter and putting it on tape. You know, anytime you get into spring ball, you're always going to be in a situation where it's natural to have the offense go against the defense. It turns into a civil war. And we want to actually embrace that a little bit. We want the competition to be at a high level. That's one of our goals this spring, is to compete, and to compete with winners and losers. And it's natural to have an offense and a defense get after each other. One thing we're going to do a little bit different this year in most of our practices when we have the pads on is we're going to split the teams up. And we're going to have a variety of situations that we'll go head-to-head against, but it's a way of having the offensive kids play and compete with the defensive kids. And we're also going to do it to coaching staff. So we'll split up Coach Bola with Coach Doust on the other side, and we'll have Coach McDonald and Coach Bola game planning against each other, you know, for a segment of practice every time we're hitting, to try to create that competition, but also competition with a mixed bag of offense, defense, and kicking personnel. Getting back to our, you know, our focus and our goals again, competition with winners and losers. We also want to do a good job finding out who this team is. Every year you get a new group of kids running around, and the identity is going to change. And I'm looking forward to see, you know, to really watch these kids develop as a team, to see what their identity is going to be as they go into this 2014 season. And then really the last two things, we want to do a good job on defense, increasing our ability to play with better technique within the framework of the schemes that Coach Bola puts out there for the players. And last but not least, we want to have fun. We want to enjoy the greatest game ever invented and enjoy coaching it as well. With that, any questions for me before we bring Chuck up?
We'll take a few questions for Coach Shafer.
Scott, Julian Wiggum, I didn't see him on the injury report. Is he just back fully?
Yeah, he's ready to go. He's been fully cleared, and he had a great. He really did. He had a strong winter. You know, his strength is back. He looks good. His weight's been, you know, real good. I think he ran in a low 4.5 40, and he's ready to go. He had good winter. Didn't miss anything with the early morning runs we have.
Why do you like PJ at linebacker?
Give him a shot. He played both ways in high school. He's a big, tall, long guy that can run, and we liked him on both sides of the ball. He's at that point in his career where he's young enough that we can give him a shot at something and see how it goes. And you know, he could end up going back to offense too. But I think he was motivated to you know, compete for playing time. He saw that we lost Marquise Sproul. We have some young linebackers. The depth isn't as thick as it is at some positions. So it just made sense to me to give him a shot at it.
Anything else for Coach Shafer today?
Scott, how would you compare this spring to last year when everything's kind of still coming together and you're taking over the program?
Yeah, well, I think a couple things there. You know, last year you had, you know, I was a couple months on the job, and I was learning, learning a lot about the offensive kids. Felt like I had to spend more time, hanging out with those kids on the offensive side of the ball to try to kind of balance out, being the defensive coordinator of the year and a few years prior to. And I think the other thing would be just, the opportunity to go round 2 spring ball, second spring. You learn a lot about what you did the year before. You look back, you critique the things that you did in the past, and then you try to improve. So, we've targeted a few things as a staff, some of the things I mentioned at the beginning here, and you feel a little bit wiser.
Scott, I know it's the defensive day, but I kind of have to ask just because it's on the sheet. Ivan can get himself back and situated for the fall.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about the offense tomorrow, but since you asked, I suspended Ivan Foy due to academics, and we're hopeful that he can get it turned around. But right now, I've separated him from the team, other than all his academic support. It's 110%. How do we give a youngster an opportunity to improve in an area that he's been inconsistent? And we're hopeful. But in the same breath, we're moving along without him until we know if he's back. So that's how we're going to approach that one.
Alicia.
How important is it to kind of carry over the momentum you guys had toward the end of the season last year, starting up here? I mean, that alone, does that fire the guys up?
Well, I think so. I think anytime you come off a bowl victory and an opportunity to go down and beat a quality team in a bowl game, the kids are going to have a sense of excitement moving into the next one. You want to focus in on the things that you did well. You want to quietly whisper your weaknesses, but work really hard at them. And for us, I think it's momentum that is well deserved. Those kids put a lot of hard work and effort into getting to that game, and I was really pleased with the team's resiliency. And I think that's a great foundation to build off of. When kids can get their butts kicked one week and come back the next week and fight and win a game. Or when they can be down in a game and maybe not play as well as they wanted to in the first half and find a way to fight back and win at the end of the game like we did in those last couple. I think that there's a sense of, not only a foundation set with those type of characteristics, but also a sense of pride to carry it forward. And I think there's equally a sense of excitement for the new kids that didn't have an opportunity to play a lot of football yet to step in and say, now it's my chance to take over a role that's open. And that's where the competition part of it is so great when you get to spring ball.
David.
Scott, did you learn anything about the ACC from a defensive standpoint? I know the Big East had a reputation for being a kind of a grinded out, physical, run the ball first, pass the ball second conference. Did you have to adjust, looking back on the season?
Not too much, Dave. When I looked at the Big East and defending offenses, I looked at Louisville spreading it out, running it, throwing it. I looked at South Florida spreading out to run it and throw it. West Virginia putting up unheard of numbers a couple years there in a row. So I think we saw more of the same to some degree. And then you still had the Pitts and the Boston College families where you're playing a little bit more old school traditional football. So I think there were similarities in the two conferences. The differences would be, I think, the cream of the crop in the ACC were also the cream of the crop in the nation. Obviously, we found that out through Clemson and Florida State's success. And as I mentioned before, the bar is set extremely high. And on our side of the division, being behind those two teams, there's extreme clarity with where we need to go and what we got to do to get there. As I mentioned in the past, Dave, we don't want to ever say that we can't get, as many five-star recruits, but we also need to be realistic and say this is who we are. And as Coach Doust always says, we embrace who we are and live for who we are. And I think we learned a lot, but we also understood it was kind of what we signed up for and what we thought it would be as well.
And a real quick follow-up,
Yep.
and that is, I see Wayne Morgan's back at cornerback. I know he's gone back and forth.
Yeah, he's bounced back and forth because we had a lot of depth at corner. And now, you look at the cornerback position with Brandon and Wiggum coming back, it just makes sense. And Wayne ran the fastest 40 of anyone on the team. So I think the biggest thing with Wayne is teaching him how to find that balance in the way he's playing the game at his speed in the secondary. got all the confidence in the world. Coach Reed working with him in the off season and now getting into spring ball that he can play that. The one thing he can't teach is make-up speed at corner, and he does have that. So, you know, I think those kids are anxious to really compete for playing time there, and we can move Wayne around still. That's the beauty of a guy like Wayne and a guy like Chauncey Sism, who hasn't played any football yet for us, but he's lined up at the cornerback position, and now he's playing the safety position. And everything starts to come together mentally as a player when you understand that guy's job and that guy's role at the position that's, you know, up in front of you and to your right or to your left. So I think that there's a great growth potential with those guys being able to hone in on a specific position, but also understand the big scheme.
Last question for Coach from Keller, please.
Such a stout senior class graduating, and obviously you've seen plenty of classes graduate before, but this time, first time as a head coach, what's the feeling like out there for you, and how close are you following these guys as they make the next step in their career?
Well, yeah, for the kids that have graduated, you know, I don't do a great job following all those things. You know, you encourage them to do well. When they come back in the facility, you get a chance to sit down and talk to them, ask them how the combine went and how the pro days are going and that sort of thing. But really, I kind of let that take care of itself. It's outside of our realm. Shoot them a text, wish them luck, hear back from them, that sort of thing. But you always look forward to not only that group, but the ones before coming back, because then you feel like there's a sense of family and a sense of pride. You know, we had Chandler and Arthur up here a week ago up in Coach Dow's office, and it was just great to see those kids and to see them intermingle with our players like the Jason Bromleys that are getting ready to try to take the next step. And for them to just be around, I mean, it just goes so far with the way you feel about your team being a family. You know, your older brothers move away, they go to college, they go to the NFL, they come back to see you. That's kind of the same feeling you have around the facility here, and it's a great feeling.
Thanks, Coach. We'll bring
All
up
right.
Coach Phillips.